through the stages that we went through up to date. The debate competition has been started on Monday and went through yesterday, and today is the final. So we started with about 16 teams from 8 schools. Went through a preliminary knockout stage where we got 8 teams proceeding to the quarterfinals. And from the quarterfinals that took place yesterday, we got 4 teams that are proceeding to the semifinals. That will be happening soon from now. And from semifinals, we shall have 2 teams that will go to the grand finale of the tournament. In those 8 schools that participated yesterday, we got 4 schools that are in for the semifinals. And we want to say that we have not been using the school names, but we have been using the tournament names, and I want to recognize them in that particular manner. Probably Sandra or Brenda later will clarify what they mean to us. But the 4 teams that we are having for the semifinals, we have the Lions versing the Cranes, and then we have the Leopards taking on the Elephants. So the Leopards represent Risedo Kigali, and the Elephants represent Saint Bernadette do Save. So those are 4 schools that are in for the for the semifinals now, and I'm happy that we are all here to watch young, brilliant men and women of our nation. We have had the best in them, and they have actually given us the best entertainment ever during this period. So with that, allow me to say once again, Karibu, welcome to the semi-final stage of Rwanda Inter-Virtual Debate Competition 2021. With that, allow me to also give a floor to Madame Aliane to give us her opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. It's Mademoiselle, but it's fine. Thank you for welcoming me to this floor. As you said, I represent Rotary Club of Kigali, and I'm a member of the club. Unfortunately, the president couldn't be here with us today because she had other meetings, but she sends her regards and, of course, her best wishes to all the competitors. For those who don't know Rotary, Rotary is an international organization dedicated to causes that build international relationships, improve lives, and create a better world by supporting peace efforts. So within this broader mission, of course, supporting education is a key pillar to our vision. Through our project, we support basic education literacy, efforts to reduce gender disparity in education, and increased literacy in general. Furthermore, Rotary believes in developing the next generation of leaders. So this is why being part of this adventure that you have started was a natural event for us, and supporting it was really an honor. Our programs, as maybe you'll see if you visit our website on rotary.org, you'll see that our programs help young leaders build their leadership skills, expand their education, and learn the value of service through action. So this can be done through youth clubs that exist throughout the whole organization. Maybe some of you are even part of them. We have Rotaract, Interact, but we also support education through scholarships for undergraduate and graduate study. So, and for this, you don't, of course, need to be a member of Rotary. So please feel free to visit us, to ask us any questions. And of course, you're not here for that, but here to debate and to compete. Which is really critical thinking being a pillar of democracy, we really believe that you're the next leaders of this country, as David just said. So good luck to all of you, and may the most convincing win. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ariane. We are happy that you have been with us. Without also taking much of our time, can we also have a presentation from Jonathan Niyomugaba, representing Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy? Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. As David mentioned, I'm Jonathan Niyomugaba from Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy. And for my personal reasons and for our institution's responsibility, I would prefer to present my presentation in Kinyarwanda, so to be better for me and for you. Nkuko nari mbivuze, nishimiye kubana namwe. Mfite ikiganiro kivuga ku Kinyarwanda no ku ndangagaciro z'umuco w'u Rwanda, n'uburyo urubyiruko rwagira uruhare mu kurengera no guteza imbere izo ndangagaciro. Nsanze ari byiza ko nabagezaho icyo kiganiro mu Kinyarwanda, kuko ni umwanya mwiza tuba tubonye abo mu nteko y'umuco kuganira n'urubyiruko, kuganira n'abafatanyabikorwa bacu ku muco no ku Kinyarwanda. Mfite ikiganiro nshaka, birashoboka ko nakora share ya presentation mfite.
Yes, wakora share from a video ahantu hari screen, you can click on that screen ugakora share rwose nta kibazo.
Okay.
Jonathan, nukirika kuri share iraza kuguha option za window, iguha option za okay, ngira ngo biraje.
Byaje?
Oya, ntabwo byari byaza, ariko nukirika kuri option ya share kuri screen iraza kuzanira ushobora guhitamo from the window or a web browser. So biraturuka na information zawe ziri. If it is a window, urahitamo window, niba ari web browser urajya kuri web browser.
Gutya murabibona?
Yes, rwose turabibona neza cyane. Presentation is
Akoze cyane. Iyi presentation nkuko nari mbivuze iragaruka ku ndangagaciro z'umuco w'u Rwanda, guteza imbere umurage ndangamuco n'Ikinyarwanda kinoze. Nkuko nabivuze, naturutse mu nteko y'umuco. Inteko y'umuco ni ikigo cya leta gishinzwe kurinda cyangwa kurengera umuco w'u Rwanda, Kinyarwanda kinoze, ndetse no guteza imbere ibitabo, ubwanditsi ndetse n'inshinguranyandiko. Aha rero turaganira ku muco n'indangagaciro ziwugize, kuko burya iyo tuvuze umuryango, buri muryango uba ufite indangagaciro ziwuranga, kandi izo ndangagaciro zituruka cyangwa ba nyir'umuco, ba nyir'umuryango bazivoma mu muco. Ariko ikibazo gikunda kuvuka cyane cyane ku bakiri bato, aho usanga bibaza bati ese ubundi umuco ni iki? Umuco ni ukubyina, umuco ni ukuririmba mu Kinyarwanda, umuco ni imyambarire, ni ugukenyera. Dukunda kwibaza icyo kibazo. umuco ushingiye ku nkingi eshatu. Tuvuga ko umuco ushingiye ku nkingi eshatu arizo umurage akaba ari ibyo abakurambere, ababyeyi bacu, abo twakomotseho badusigira. Ibyo biba birimo ururimi, biba birimo indangagaciro, biba birimo ubuvanganzo, biba birimo imihango, imyemerere, imitekerereze, imikorere, imyitwarire n'ibindi twakuye kubo twasanze. Umuco nanone wuzura iyo uvanze umurage n'ibyo duhanga. Sosiyete runaka igeraho igakenera ibintu bishya byinjira muri yo. Urugero twavuga nk'ubu hari gahunda y'abunzi, hari gahunda ya gira inka, umugoroba w'ababyeyi. Izo ni gahunda zagiye zinjira mu buzima bw'abanyarwanda, ariko zinjira kuko tuzikeneye mu gihe runaka. Dushobora kuzasanga izo gahunda zidakenewe tukazihindura, ariko bwabaye ubuzima bwa buri munsi bw'abantu. Ikindi cyinjira mu muco ni ibitirano. Ibitirano ni igihe umuco cyangwa ubuzima bw'abantu runaka bukenera kugira ibyo bukura mu mahanga, mu mico y'amahanga, mu mikorere cyangwa mu mibereho y'amahanga. Aha twavuga nk'indimi z'amahanga dukoresha, twavuga nko kwambara, imyambarire twambaye ahangaha benshi muri twe ntabwo mu myaka 100 cyangwa 200 ishize abanyarwanda ariko bambaraga. Ibi byose rero iyo tubiteranyije dusanga umuco ari ihuriro rigenga imitekerereze, imikorere n'ubuzima bw'abantu runaka mu gihe runaka. Ibyo bikaba bituruka mu murage, mu bihangano no mu bitirano. Igice kinini cyane dutindaho iyo tuvuga umuco muri sosiyete, dutinda ku cyo twita indangagaciro. Indangagaciro ni amahame shingiro cyangwa amahame ngenderwaho agenga imyitwarire y'abantu runaka. Mu Rwanda rero iyo tuvuga indangagaciro z'umuco w'u Rwanda, tuba tuvuga za zindi zaranze abanyarwanda mu myaka ishize, kandi na n'ubu zikaba zikibaranga, ariko zikabaha umurongo ubafasha kwiyubaka no gutera imbere. Inzego zitandukanye mu Rwanda zimaze guhura, ziyobowe na minisiteri ifite umuco mu nshingano, zemeje indangagaciro enye zibanze cyangwa indangagaciro remezo, arizo gukunda igihugu. Gukunda igihugu kuko ni indangagaciro y'ibanze yaranze abanyarwanda mu myaka myinshi. Gukunda igihugu ntabwo ari ugukunda ubutaka n'ibyatsi gusa, ahubwo harimo gukunda amateka y'igihugu, umuco w'igihugu, ubuzima bw'igihugu, noneho ugakunda na bene cyo ku buryo icyo gihugu wumva wakitangira, byaba na ngombwa ukakizira. Ibyo byaranze amateka yacu, twese turabizi. Iyi ndangagaciro yo gukunda igihugu rero ikubiyemo izindi nyinshi zishamikiyeho, ari nazo dushishikariza urubyiruko, cyane cyane ruri mu mashuri, ruba mu Rwanda n'uba mu mahanga, ko ari byiza kumenya umuco w'igihugu, amateka y'igihugu, kuko ibyo nibyo bidufasha kugira uruhare rwacu mu kubaka igihugu cyacu nk'u Rwanda. Dukunda kuvuga ngo u Rwanda ruranda, kwanda ni ukwaguka, kugera kure, kurenza imipaka. Ubwo rero ntabwo twakwanda tudafite urubyiruko, tudafite abaturage bahamye kandi bakunda igihugu. N'indangagaciro remezo ni ubumwe. Ubumwe ni indangagaciro ikomeye kuko nayo yagiye iranga abanyarwanda mu myaka yashize ndetse n'ubu, kandi yagiye ituma ibibazo u Rwanda rwagiye ruhura nabyo bikemuka mu buryo bworoshye kandi bigakemurwa natwe ubwacu. Indi ndangagaciro ni ubupfura. Ubupfura baravuga ngo buba mu nda, ariko ni imyitwarire myiza, ni wa mutima urenze, ku buryo bajya bavuga ngo iyo umuntu afite indangagaciro z'umuco yuzuye aba ari imfura. Imfura rero ni wa muntu ufite imyitwarire myiza kurusha abandi. Indi ndangagaciro ni umurimo. Gukunda umurimo ni indangagaciro dukeneye mu kwiteza imbere nk'igihugu. Ntabwo twavuga kuri buri yose, ariko muri rusange izi ni indangagaciro remezo zishamikiweho n'izindi ndangagaciro nyinshi zidufasha kwiteza imbere kandi n'igihugu cyacu kikagira wa mwimerere wacyo nk'u Rwanda. Aha rero nagarutse nanone ku ruhare rw'urubyiruko mu kurengera umurage w'u Rwanda. Iyo tuvuze umurage, bya bine navuzeho dukura ku bakurambere, dukura ku babyeyi bacu batubanjirije, tubishyira mu byiciro bibiri, tukavuga umurage ufatika n'umurage udafatika. Ibimenyetso dusanga mu murage udafatika ni wa murage twasigiwe ariko utasanga ahantu ngo ufate ukoreho urebe. Urugero nk'ikinyarwanda, umurage udafatika, ubuvanganzo nyemvugo na nyandiko, ibisakuzo tugenda duhererekanya, imigani, amazina y'inka n'ibindi. Ibyo ni umurage udafatika ariko utugira abo turibo, natwe ababyeyi duhereza cyangwa twigisha abadukomokaho. Uwo murage udafatika wunganirwa noneho n'umurage ufatika. Aho hakubiyemo ahantu ndangamateka nk'uko mujya mwumva ngo ku rutare rwa Ndaba, urutare rwa Kamegeri, mu bisi bya Huye, aho ni ahantu ndangamateka. Twongeraho noneho inzu ndangamurage. Inzu ndangamurage ni ahantu haba hari ibimenyetso by'umuco n'amateka bibitse byerekana ubuzima bw'abanyarwanda bwa kera n'ibyarangaga uburyo bw'imibereho yabo, ubworozi, mu buhinzi, mu buvuzi, mu ikoranabuhanga n'ibindi. Ubu iyo tuvuze inzu ndangamurage, mu nshingano z'inteko y'umuco harimo kurinda no kumenyekanisha izi inzu ndangamurage. Tumaze kugira inzu ndangamurage 8 hirya no hino mu gihugu, hakubiyemo izi naberetse. Harimo ingoro y'imibereho y'abanyarwanda, niyo tuzi nka mize n'ubundi kuva kera, yahoze i Huye, n'ubu iracyahari, ikaba ibarizwa mu karere ka Huye, yubatswe mu 1947. Niyo ibitse ibimenyetso byinshi ku mibereho y'abanyafrika, cyane cyane abanyarwanda. Indi nzu cyangwa indi ngoro iri mu Rukari, tuyita ingoro y'abami. Iyo yari inzu cyangwa yari ingoro y'umwami Mutara wa gatatu Rudahigwa, ikaba iherereye mu karere ka Nyanza. Ndabashishikariza kuzayisura, baba bakuru ndetse n'urubyiruko. Indi ni ingoro ndangamurage yo kwigira, nayo iba i Nyanza. Ikaba ari ingoro igaragaza ibijyanye na za gahunda navuze z'ubudehe n'ibindi bikorwa abanyarwanda bakoraga bishakamo ibisubizo. Hari ingoro itazwi na benshi y'i Karongi yitwa ingoro y'ibidukikije, yatashywe ku mugaragaro mu 2015, iherereye ku kiyaga cya Kivu neza neza mu karere ka Karongi. Ikaba ikubiyemo ibidukikije biboneka mu Rwanda, ibyatsi, ibiti gakondo, kandi nanone igaragaza ibijyanye n'ingufu, renewable and non-renewable energy. Aho naho mwahasura kuko dusangamo umurage ujyanye n'ibidukikije w'abanyarwanda. Indi ngoro ni ingoro y'amateka y'urugamba rwo kubohora igihugu, iba ku Murindi w'Intwari, ni mu karere ka Gicumbi. Iyo vuba aha iri kuvugururwa, izuzura, nabwo mwayisura. Ikubiyemo amateka n'ibimenyetso by'urugamba rwo kubohora igihugu, aho RPA yahereye, yari ifite ibirindiro ubwo yateraga igihugu, ariko intego yari intego nziza yo kubohora u Rwanda twifuza, u Rwanda rutera imbere, u Rwanda rudaheza, u Rwanda rutaronda. Ayo ni amateka meza nayo mwazasura muri iyo ngoro yo ku Murindi w'Intwari. Indi ngoro ni ingoro y'ubugeni n'ubuhanzi iherereye i Kanombe, ahari inzu y'uwahoze ari umukuru w'igihugu, yatashywe mu 2018 yitwa ingoro y'ubugeni n'ubuhanzi. Muri iki cyumweru kugira ngo ejo mwarabikurikiye ko hari n'imurikabikorwa ryatangijwe kuri iyi ngoro y'i Kanombe. Iyi nayo muzasangamo ibikorwa by'ubuhanzi n'ubugeni bw'Abanyarwanda ndetse n'abanyabugeni mpuzamahanga byiza cyane, aha naho muzahagere. Indi ngoro ni iyitiriwe Kant, Richard Kant, hafi yahahoze gereza ya 1930 mu mujyi rwagati mu karere ka Nyarugenge, ikaba igaragaza ubuzima bw'Abanyarwanda mbere y'igihe cy'ubukoloni, mu gihe abakoloni b'Abadage bari mu Rwanda, ari nayo hakavugamo cyane ubuzima bwa Richard Kant wayoboraga umujyi wa Kigali icyo gihe. Hanyuma hakabamo noneho n'amateka arambuye y'umujyi wa Kigali, aho ni no muzasanga inzoka ndetse n'ingona nazo zihagaragara. Kugerayo rwose nabyo ni byiza. Indi ngoro ni ingoro nshya yatashywe mu 2017, ingoro y'amateka yo guhagarika jenoside, iherereye mu ngoro y'inteko ishinga amategeko y'u Rwanda hariya ku Kimihurura. Iyi nayo igaragaza amateka yo guhagarika jenoside, by'umwihariko ibikorwa mu buryo burambuye y'ingabo za RPA 600 zo muri batalo ya 3 zari zihari. Ubwo aho naho mwahasura. Impamvu natinze kuri izi ngoro nuko hari abantu benshi batazizi kandi zibitse cyangwa zihishe umurage ukomeye w'Abanyarwanda mu byiciro bitandukanye nagiye mvuga. Mu gusoza rero, sinakwibagirwa ko iyo tuvuga umurage cyangwa umuco tutakwibagirwa Ikinyarwanda, kuko nicyo kiduha ya mateka, kiduha wa murage, nicyo kidufasha guhererekanya cyangwa guhana amakuru ku murage. Kurengera Ikinyarwanda rero, ikintu cya mbere umuntu akora ni ukukiga. Mu by'ukuri kuba tuvuga Ikinyarwanda turi Abanyarwanda ntibivuze ko tukizi, bisaba ko tukiga, bisaba ko tugikunda. Ni umurage wacu, ni umwimerere wacu, ni ururimi kavukire. Abenshi bakunda kuvuga ngo ni ururimi rwa mama, rwo rurimi umubyeyi ahereza umwana we. Kugikoresha mu buryo bunoze rero ni intambwe ya mbere yo kukirinda. Aha mu mwanya twaganiraga mu Cyongereza, hari ahandi twaganira mu Gifaransa, ni indimi dukeneye kubera ko ari indimi mpuzamahanga, ariko biba bibi cyane iyo dukoresha Ikinyarwanda kivanze n'Icyongereza n'Igifaransa. Ni nk'uko n'Umwongereza atakwishimira ko uvuga Icyongereza ukivangamo Ikinyarwanda cyangwa Igifaransa. Ni byiza rero ko twiga izo ndimi zose, ariko tukazikoresha aho bikwiye. Igihe turi kuganira mu Cyongereza ntituganire mu Cyongereza gusa. Igihe turi kuganira mu Kinyarwanda tubwira cyangwa duha ubutumwa abumva Ikinyarwanda, nidukoresha icyo Kinyarwanda cyonyine kandi kinoze. Mu gihe dukoresha Igiswahili cyangwa Igifaransa nabyo tubigenze gutyo. Hadutse ururimi rushya rutemewe rutanabaho ku isi yose rwitwa Kinyafrangre. Hahandi umuntu atangira akavuga ngo njyewe ngo ndabamenyesha ko donko gasanga uri kuvuga indimi eshatu kandi abubwira zose batazumva. Mu gusoza, nashishikariza buri wese mu bari muri iyi gahunda cyangwa mu bitabiriye iki kiganiro ko uruhare rwe rukenewe mu kurengera no guteza imbere umuco. Ntabwo twakwibagirwa ko kurinda indangagaciro n'umurage birenga kubikunda nk'Abanyarwanda cyangwa kubirinda kugira ngo bitazima, ahubwo bishobora no kubyazwa umusaruro, bishobora kubyazwa amafaranga. Hari ibikorwa byinshi bishingiye ku muco, ku rurimi, ku murage, byinjiriza igihugu amafaranga. Aha turavuga nk'ubuhanzi bushingiye ku muco, ibyo twita inganda ndangamuco. Ibi byinjiriza amafaranga menshi igihugu. aha ndavuga ubukerarugendo bushingiye ku muco, gusura ahantu ndangamuco navuze, gusura za mize. Ibi nabyo byinjiza amafaranga igihugu, ariko hari izindi nzego sectors zitarinjirwamo n'abashoramari ngo bazibyaze amafaranga. Urugero nk'ibi ngibi bya debate ni urwego rwiza rwo gukoresha ururimi ariko nk'uruganda, ururimi rugacuruzwa rukinjiza amafaranga, ubusemuzi, ubwanditsi bw'ibitabo n'izindi nzego. Rero nituvuga guteza imbere umurage, kurinda umuco, kurinda ikinyarwanda, tunatekereze kubikoresha bibyara amafaranga bitwebwe ababikoresha ndetse no ku gihugu. Muri rusange rero nicyo kiganiro nari nabateguriye, mbibutsa ko umuco dusangiye uturanga kandi ururimi rwacu rukaduhuza. Nshishikariza urubyiruko, nshishikariza ababyeyi ndetse n'abakuze kugira uruhare mu kurinda no guteza imbere umuco wacu. Murakoze cyane. David, uranyumva?
So, Mr. Jonathan, murakoze cyane. Murakoze cyane for a very good presentation. Nanjye ngira ngo ntangiye kubyica ko wari utubwira utari ko niba ari ururimi rumwe ukoresha rumwe, niba wisemo icyongereza ukoresha icyongereza gusa, ariko turashaka gushimira kubw'ikiganiro duhaye cyiza. Ni byiza kumenya umuco wacu no kumenya ibyiza dufite by'igihugu cyacu. So murakoze cyane, ngira ngo tugiye noneho kujya muri session zikurikiyeho, session zirebana n'aba judges ndetse zirebana n'aba debaters. So thank you very much. I think that right now we need to move into the sessions for debaters and adjudicators. We are going to start our semi-final sessions. These sessions are happening in 2 rooms. So we have room, the lions taking on the cranes, and then we have room 2 where we have the elephants taking on what is it? The elephants taking on the leopards. So allow me to give this session to Sandra. I think Sandra, you can also help us here. Thank you. Dear participants, Mr. Jonathan, kindly feel free to move in one of the rooms. We have 2 rooms, so when you go at the left side of this dashboard, you'll see where there is a stage. So when you click on stage, you can choose either to jump into one of the rooms. We have semi-final room 1 and then a semi-final room 2 as well. So you can choose one of the rooms to jump to, and you listen to what debaters are saying. The same thing to Madame Aliane. We are also requesting that you jump in one of the rooms. You can either jump in room 1 or room 2, choice of preference.
survey is very fine and fair enough.
Okay, great. Oh, that's okay. So I'll be one of your judges in this room.
Thank you so much. So,
And I'll be with Judge Abiel as well.
Hello guys, I think we met already yesterday. I don't need to
Yes.
introduce myself.
I'm actually trying to find out whether I'm trying to find out where Maranyundo is so that they join us shortly.
All right.
The end times have already come.
Ah,
that this House proposes a bailout. This House proposes a bailout package to troubling banks as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Can we also get the second speaker negative to pronounce the motion?
Thank you. Today's motion is this House proposes a bailout package to struggling banks as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you very much. The two teams have the same motion. Can we have the first speaker from affirmative affirming the motion? Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get the timer?
Dave, they're asking for a timer.
I think he's lost.
He's not lost. All right. I think he's trying to figure out give you guys the timer, so I think you can just wait for him a little bit. And as far as for the face mask, do whatever is easier for you. Put it on, put it off, whatever is easier for you. Dave, kumbo ni sura yaliyo nyine limo.
No, I'm actually working on it. I'm working on it. Okay, there we go. Can you see it now? Can you see the timer?
Yo, but Dave, everything is covered though. So Dave. Dave, can you hear me? If you can, I think the audio cut off.
Yes, I've actually stopped the timing. So when they come, they'll resume from there.
So I was actually requesting you, this clock could be on one of the windows so that you can also see their faces, because others don't see their faces. And I don't think the opponent can see each other.
You cannot.
We can only see the clock, and I think that goes for everyone else. So now you guys can see each other. Dave, it's back in the full screen.
Yes.
Yeah, so the speakers cannot see each other actually.
They cannot see themselves. But I'm seeing all of them. I'm seeing you.
That's you. So you, as the initiator of the meeting, can see all of us, but we cannot see you or see anyone else. We can only see the clock.
You are not aside of the clock?
No, we are not.
Okay, so
I think we should let this speaker finish, and then we can resolve it.
Take off the clock?
I think we can. Yeah, we do it manually. Now I can only see your face.
So you cannot see the face of the rest?
We can only see your face now because we cannot see anyone else now. No, it's more important. What about the team? What do you prefer? What about the other side?
We prefer looking at each other without a timer.
Okay. Dave, could you put back the 4 windows? I'll show you.
So can you zoom from where you stopped?
Yeah, but you can only see your face now, not even the timer.
Sorry?
We can only see you. We can't see anything else.
It's okay, let them proceed.
Yes, now we can see that they can proceed.
I rest my case.
All right. Thank you very much. Dave, we can only see you. Okay, now we can see everyone else.
Can we have the first speaker from negative side?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I present myself as Femen Kamikaze, the first speaker of the opposition side. Ladies and gentlemen, Gabire Hapida is my second speaker, and Ohaline Ishimwe is my third speaker. The motion says that this House proposes a bailout package to struggling banks as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, when the first speaker of the proposition side defined a bailout package, she forgot to give you examples of a bailout package. Ladies and gentlemen, and the examples of a bailout package, we have bonds, shares, loans, among the others. Ladies and gentlemen, it is in that case that I ask the proposition side, what is the type of the bailout that they are offering? And ladies and gentlemen, the first speaker of the opposition side told us about in Rwanda being there 9 commercial banks. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to make it clear that it's a mistake, since we do not have 9 commercial banks in Rwanda, because we have 13 commercial banks. Ladies and gentlemen, the commercial banks that we have in Rwanda are, there are 16 banks in general, but 13 are commercial. I want to make that clear. And ladies and gentlemen, the opposition side, the proposition side here came and told us that what they're going to do is that they're going to promote cashless economy, of which, ladies and gentlemen, what they are bringing at the table is already in the status quo, whereby, ladies and gentlemen, we have a digitalized economy and we have a cashless economy as they impose. They say that they want to bring digitalization, yet, ladies and gentlemen, we have that there is a 10.7% increase in the profits of banks as a result economy or as a result of digitalization, which means that what they're bringing at the table, ladies and gentlemen, is already in the status quo. And ladies and gentlemen, the Bank of Kigali is offering digitalized banking services like the e-banking, the Bank of Kigali app, Bank of Kigali Quick, and others. And this was not achieved through a bailout. And ladies and gentlemen, what does the proposition side imply? Ladies and gentlemen, the motion is about the House proposing a bailout package to struggling banks, in which, ladies and gentlemen, we want to know what are the struggling banks in Rwanda and to what extent are they struggling, and what shows that they're struggling as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, the first speaker of the proposition side came here and told us that what they're doing is through she implied an economic recovery fund, of which, ladies and gentlemen, she said that it is solving the problem of liquidity, which is the problem that the banks have. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is the proposition side implying if what they are saying is already in the status quo? Ladies and gentlemen, what is the status quo? The status quo, according, ladies and gentlemen, to newtimes.com, an article that says financial institutions in Rwanda and their general performance. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2016, the Bank of Kigali got a 23.3 million net profit. And in 2018, they got a 30 million net profit. In 2019, they got a 26 million profit. In 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, they got 38 million. What does If in 2019 they had 26 million net profit, and in 2020 they got 38 million net profit, it means that they are not struggling. Since, ladies and gentlemen, this shows that there is an increase in their net profit. Then how are banks struggling? And then again, ladies and gentlemen, the I&M Bank in 2019 to 2021, they have had an increase of 16.3%. Ladies and gentlemen, where is the struggle? To mention but a few. Ladies and gentlemen, the status quo is that the government, through the under the economic recovery fund that the opposition side have been talking about, has been aiming at recovering the small and medium enterprises with their allocated money, of which is 100. They're aiming at raising 200 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, this has promoted a 5.1% real GDP rebouncing. Ladies and gentlemen, it means that the status quo is favorable, since it is tackling the issue of small and medium enterprises. So what are small and medium enterprises going to do? Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to solve the harms in the status quo, of which the harms in the status quo rely on the banks, where the banks lack, ladies and gentlemen, liquidity. And since the opposition side brought the harm, I will tackle it, ladies and gentlemen. In 2000, In 2020, in March, this is according to newtimes.com, an article called World of Rwanda's Economic Growth. Ladies and gentlemen, 44% of the banks of Rwanda have asked for liquidity. And ladies and gentlemen, in April 26th, the same year, they were given 50 billion by the central bank, ladies and gentlemen. And it is in that case that their issue has been solved. So if the issue has been solved, what is the proposition side proposing? And ladies and gentlemen, the Bank of Kigali, the central bank, after initiating this, then if the proposition side is found that there is still a struggle, then what proves that if we give them another bailout, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to work efficiently if the first one failed. And then, ladies and gentlemen, here, ladies and gentlemen, we have a contribution of the small and medium enterprises, of which, ladies and gentlemen, they contribute 40% to the GDP of the country. That is according to zonenet.com, the article of Rwanda on path of economy recovery. Then they have a 40% contribution on GDP, 45% contribution of employment, and 47% of contribution on tax revenue. What does it imply? It implies that, ladies and gentlemen, if we stick to the status quo, whereby the government is bailing out the small and medium enterprises, of which, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to solve the effects of the pandemic on banks, whereby the first one was loan relief, whereby the banks claimed that they have been asking for a loan relief or an extended period of payment, and as they ask for it. They ask for it because they had no source of income, and if they had no source of income, ladies and gentlemen, they will not get a way to pay the loans. And since in the status quo we're talking about small and medium enterprises, which provides for 12% of employment, the people will get a source of paying back the loans, of which their problem will be solved, ladies and gentlemen. But how are the bailouts going to solve this problem of loan relief, since the money is going to the banks? And ladies and gentlemen, making it clear again, the proposition side failed to show us the exact type of bailout that they are giving. Ladies and gentlemen, another thing is that according to www.newtimes.com, again, ladies and gentlemen, in the status quo again, there is the challenges of ladies and gentlemen. As I'm out of time, I leave the rest speaker as I rest my case. Thank you.
All right, if you are done, I think we can move on to the second speaker of the proposition. David, you can restart the timer.
Okay, so thank you very much, the first speaker. Negative. Can we have the second speaker? Affirmative.
giving dear judges, it is actually 200 million dear.
Thank you very much, second speaker. Affirmative. Can we have the second speaker negative?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I present myself as Ngabira Attaj as the second speaker on the opposition side, opposing the motion which says that this House proposes a bailout package to struggling banks as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. And please, dear judges, if you may allow us, the first speaker from the proposition side defined a bailout as a prevention from collapsing, by which they say that of which it is wrong. A bailout is not free money, as the first speaker has got it wrong, because according to www.investopedia.com, an article entitled Bailout may take the form of a loan, a purchasing of bonds, stock, or cash infusions. And these, the proposition side, have to tell us where does the bailout they're providing lies under among these, as we have given the source of our definition. So please, dear judges, if you may allow me, the proposition side came here and they brought the harm that why digitalize, why bail out the banks. They brought a problem of liquidity and digitalization problem, of which, dear judges, the problems that the banks are facing are many. According to www.economieshelp.org, we have the payment challenge, the market challenge, regulatory challenge, and the client relationship, of which these problems cannot be solved by bailing out the banks. The liquidity problem that they presented to us, dear judges, in banks is caused by withdrawals by account holders, failure to pay bank loans, and etc. The only way to solve this is by bringing a solution that will stop the withdrawals and enabling borrowers to pay the borrowed loans, but not bringing the digitalization plan that they've brought to them. So, dear judges, the proposition side has a work to prove to us how they are sure their source of funds are going to reach to them. Why are the banks struggling apart from the COVID-19 pandemic? Is it the first time that banks are struggling? What are the indicators of struggling banks? How bailing out banks solves the struggling banks from the roots? And how did banks solve their struggling before if they've been already struggling? Will banks collapse if they do not digitalize? These all are the questions that the proposition side has to come here and prove to us how, if digitalization is not put under consideration, how they will collapse, since they say that bailing out is a solution from collapsing. And then they also have to come and tell us how many banks are struggling, and if not all, what things are the struggling banks did which the struggling banks did not do that has led to their struggle. And please, they have to come here and clarify how did banks solve their struggling before COVID-19. And that is why, dear judges, I'm here to present how sticking to the status quo by investing in supporting the small and medium enterprises is going to solve the challenges banks are facing, of which I listed before. The payment challenge. What here with the opposition side is portraying is that the problems that banks are facing cannot be solved by bailing out, because the problems come from the side of the clients. One, there is a payment challenge where the clients of banks have a problem in paying back the loans that the banks are providing, of which the proposition side should come here and prove to us how bailing out the banks is going to help the clients to pay back the loans. Second, there is the market challenge of where the banks have a problem of not enough clients, and this bailing out the banks is going to be the proposition side have to come here and prove to us how the market challenge is going to be solved by bailing out banks. Three, the regulatory challenge where the banks are struggling because they have poor management skills and other problems in their internal management. So here the proposition side has to come here and also prove to us how bailing out the banks is going to solve this problem. And four, we have the client relationship where the banks are facing problems because of the relationship between their clients and a result of poor customer care. And this, the proposition side should also come here and present to us how this problem is going to be solved by bailing out the banks. And here, the opposition side, dear judges, if you may allow me, I'm going to present to you the problems or the impacts of bailing out banks. According to www.economicshelp.org, on the issue of bailing out banks, there is the first problem of bank bailouts is moral hazard, where it creates an increase in exposure of risks, shifting the burden to the taxpayers. And if you may allow me to quote an American author and financial report, Matt Taibbi, he said that if anything, the bailouts actually hindered lending as banks became more like house pets and grow fat and lazy on on 2 guaranteed meals a day than wild animals that have to go out into the jungle and hunt for opportunities in order to eat. This is going to create a moral hazard where the banks are going to be declaring their problems that they're struggling because they have to be backed down and shift the burden to the other sectors. 3, it is costly to the taxpayer. By bailing out banks, they use the funds, the revenue of the government from the taxpayers. Please, this is a very hindrance to the government, since according to www.economicshelp.org, the UK and USA that have implied this bailout of banks has led to the losses because of this bailing out being costly to the taxpayers. 3, it is unfair to the taxpayers since it uses their funds instead of using it in productive activities. And then 4, it confiscates money from productive members and gives it to the failing ones, of which we have found them to be struggling because of the problems they're meeting. And 5, it reverses the purpose of economic rewards in a free market economy. And 6, it stocks up profits since these banks are found to be profit oriented because they are the private sector that aim at profit maximization. And please, dear judges, allow me to tell the proposition side that they have to present all the solutions to the 6 problems caused by bank bailouts. And then, dear judges, bailing out banks is found as a big lie, as according to www.golem16.co.uk on the article of why bailout banks, he said that the danger is that banks stock up on profitable, low capital intensive assets like mortgages or even high yielding peripheral sovereign debt and leave domestic small businesses high and dry, which means that they aim for their own profits by using the bailout. And that's why we as the opposition side is supporting the status quo that's supporting the small and medium enterprises, because they are the clients, the banks. Because if the small and medium enterprises are promoted, they are the ones who are going to save their money in the banks. They're the ones who are going to deposit in their banks. That's solving the problem of liquidity that the proposition side came here presenting. So, dear judges, the proposition side came here and told us about as their first speaker said, that it's free money that they're going to be giving. They have to come here and prove to us how they're going this bailing out banks is going to yield them profits, as we have portrayed our small and medium enterprises, and are going to be solving all these problems that are portrayed that are caused by bank bailouts, and how these challenges that banks are facing are going to be solved despite of the use of small and medium enterprises. Dear judges, I rest my case.
Thank you very much. Second speaker, negative. Can we have the third speaker, affirmative?
What is your paramount and what's your parameter? What is the paramount and the parameter in your plan?
Thank you very much. Third speaker, affirmative. Can we have the third speaker, negative?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I present myself as Nishimino Oheli, the third speaker from the opposition side. So, dear judges, the point that the plan that the proposition side brought here is offering a bailout package to banks so as to prove the digitalization. But dear judges, here is the thing: we told them that digitalization is already being done in the status quo. They gave us a clear burden. They said, I quote the second speaker of their side. They said, if the opposition side shows us how digitalization is already being done in the status quo, then they take the debate. And I'm here to show you this. We give them examples of the commercial banks, which they actually don't know their number, how they are digitalizing. There is Bank of Kigali, which has ATMs. There is Equity Bank, which has access to digitalization, and I&M Bank, which has digitalization tools, and that is according to an article that digitalization at an increasing rate in Rwanda, according to the newtimes.com. They also say there is also, with this same article, there is the statistics show that there is 5 availability. Denied, please. There's availability of ATMs, whereby there are 5 ATM machines per 100,000 people in Rwanda. That's according to an article by the government commencing digital literacy in Rwanda. There's also, they counter the problem that in SACCOs, there is no use of digitalization. But dear judges, I also bring here proof that digitalization in SACCOs is already being done, whereby there is use of Harambe SACCO Society project in action, which is helping Umurenge SACCO in a way of ICT. That's according to www.newtimes.co.rw. So, dear judges, with that, I'm able to show you that in each and every bank, the SACCOs that they're self-tackling on in the commercial banks, which they actually have no information about, since how are they supposed to know that they're not digitalized if they don't even know their number, which is actually a fiasco argument. They also say that there are only 2 banks that are digitalized. But dear judges, I've shown you that more than 2 banks are being digitalized, and I've given you a source of information, which is the New Times article by Daniel Sabiti, a financial reporter in Rwanda, which is actually a reliable source that the proposition side was never able to show us their source of information about the only 2 banks being digitalized. So, dear judges, the proposition side came here and said that digitalization is the point they're dealing with. But dear judges, they never showed us how digitalization could be improved by use of a bailout, and they were never able to show us that COVID-19 pandemic, just like the motion said, has limited digitalization, because you have statistics that through the COVID-19, digitalization has indeed increased, because we all know that during lockdown and the social distancing, people were able to use mobile e-banking and some other digitalization means, which means that their argument of bringing digitalization to the table is not something new, because it's not the fact that banks might even be facing the digitalization problem is not a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Yet the motion says that this house believes that this house proposes a bailout package to banks, to struggling banks, as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. So they weren't able to show us how the COVID-19 pandemic led to falling down in digitalization. So, dear judges, my second speaker gave them 6 harms that are brought by these bailout packages that they are proposing in form of grants and money. Dear judges, they were never, ever, ever able to show us how these six harms that my second speaker brought to the table are going to be dealt with, because she showed them how the moral hazards, how they are costly, how they are unfair, how they confiscate money to the rich. They were never able to show us how the bailout package that they are giving to the banks is a special one, that it won't lead to the six harms that come with a bailout package. So, dear judges, I come here presenting to you that that speaker said that SMEs are the backbone of the economy. So, dear judges, if they are the backbone of the economy, why actually are they focusing on banks if the SMEs are the backbone of the economy? They also say that, judges, I come back to their burden, that if we show them how digitalization is being done in the status quo, then we take the debate. I emphasize on that. We are here going to show you that Equity Bank is also using digitalization, whereby there is use of Equity Corporate Side. That's a project that deals with digitalization in Equity Bank. KCB, which is also using digitalization, where there is KCB Online Banking and EasyNet Secure Online Banking in KCB. Dear judges, so here is the point of flash. Our dear proposers came here and said that they are going to help these banks digitalize, yet they don't even know the number of banks that are in Rwanda. How are they actually helping something that they don't know anything about? And they never get to refute our point that there are 13 and 99 commercial banks in Rwanda, which means they're actually proposing something. They're actually curing a disease without knowing who has the disease. And how does that work? It doesn't work. So, dear judges, they say that without digitalization, that without digitalization, banks can't achieve development. Yes, maybe we do agree. But then, how is a bailout going to solve this digitalization problem? They never showed us that. And we saw that in the economy, banks are already succeeding without this digitalization. And they said that with this point that without digitalization, we can't achieve development. We're here to show you that yes, the digitalization can help them achieve development, but it's already in the status quo, which means that the point they brought to the table does not stand. The digitalization does not stand because digitalization is already in commercial banks. Just like we gave you 5 examples, and just like we showed you that in SACCOs, which they have a problem about, there is Harambe project, which is dealing with digitalization in the Umurenge SACCOs, according to the New Times, and they never gave us a source to prove that actually digitalization is not in the SACCOs, which means that there's source of information. The fact that the digitalization is not being carried out in Rwanda is just a wrong argument. So we, as the proposition side, stick to the status quo, whereby we're already able to show that the problem of liquidity and digitalization that the proposition side stated is already being catered for. Liquidity through the Economic Recovery Fund, and digitalization being catered for the different projects that we told you about that are being done in different banks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The third speaker, negative. You are now given 2 minutes to prepare for your reply speeches. Your reply speeches will be 4 minutes each to each speakers of the teams. you are all good, but one of you should go through. So that's my feedback. Kindly go backstage. As adjudicators, we are going to go through your marking sheet, and then we get back to you shortly.